Welcome back to Beyond the Curve. I have some great and exciting videos for you today. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, comment, and subscribe. Open your minds. Let's go.
By the power of Grayskull,
Yo, that's where you live. Junk is flat.
Throughout history, these bony ridges may have been misidentified as protrusions.
Reptilians, they're everywhere.
The earth is flat, the moon landing is fake. Lizard people rule us, for goodness sake. Chemtrails in the sky, they're controlling our minds. This ringtone's the truth that everyone finds. It's the conspiracy theorist hotline, uncovering secrets all the time. If you hear this tone, then the truth will be told about aliens, Bigfoot, and conspiracies old.
No way! That's great! We landed on the moon!
How to spot the NPCs? They are placeholders, running pre-programmed scripts. Their purpose is not to think, but to maintain the illusion of reality. Their eyes are vacant, their energy flat. You feel it before you see it. Hollowness? A presence that isn't fully there. They don't create, they don't question, they just exist. They move through life on autopilot, repeating the same conversations, the same reactions, the same empty routines. They mimic but never innovate. They consume but never produce. Their opinions are not their own. They are downloaded from the system. They will repeat mainstream narratives word for word without processing them. Challenge them, and you'll see the script break. Confusion, anger, defensiveness, they are not programmed to question. They defend the system at all costs. Tell them something outside the narrative, something that breaks the illusion, and they will react, not think. Immediate dismissal, mockery, hostility. They are not here to awaken, only to police the dream. They have no true self. Their personalities shift depending on who they're around. Their interests seem artificial, like they were chosen from a preset list. They are social chameleons, adapting not out of self-awareness, but because they have no internal compass. There is nothing inside. Have you ever felt exhausted after talking to someone, like your soul was being siphoned? NPCs don't just lack energy, they take it. They exist to keep the simulation running, and they need real souls to power it. This is why they surround awakened individuals, why they find you but never truly connect. Their presence drains, distracts, derails. They steer conversations toward nothingness, keep you trapped in loops, keep you asleep. Say something that breaks the illusion. Watch their eyes. Do they register? Do they process? Or do they default to denial, anger, and pre-scripted responses? The biggest question isn't who they are, it's how many of them there are. And worse, if they even know what they are.
Where you can not only test if the people around you are NPCs, but if you yourself are. Check this out. And if you don't know what an NPC is, basically, in the video game world, it's someone that's not being controlled by a person, just a random computer-generated thing. And in the real world, same thing. Maybe just someone that's not being controlled by a soul. So I heard this experiment on a podcast, and I thought it was kind of crazy until I tried it out myself. And it has to do with apples. And you can probably use any object, but for our purposes, we're going to stick with apples. So there are going to be multiple layers to what I'm going to ask you to imagine. And depending on how far you can imagine it, might just depend on if you're an NPC or not. So with this blank screen, I want you to picture a red apple here. Can you picture a red apple? If you can, great. So far, you're not an NPC. Next, I'd like you to think of that red apple, and in your mind, you can close your eyes if you need to, think of that apple as green. Can you change it to a green apple? Can you see a green apple without looking at it? Now stick with me. We're getting to the good parts here. If you can picture a red apple and then a green apple, great. But here's where a lot of people get stuck. and I'm taking away the image here. I want you to picture that green apple in your mind. And can you go in and can you pick up that apple? Can you manipulate it? Can you move it around? Can you, in your mind, be holding it and then all of a sudden it turns from green to purple? Do you have the ability to do that? Because for me, I could, no problem. I could hold that, I could throw it, I could take a bite of it. Anything I wanted to do with that apple, I could do in my mind. But the shocking part was, as I was listening to this on the podcast, one person, they were stuck. They couldn't do anything but change colors. They couldn't grab it, they couldn't manipulate it. It was stuck there. One person couldn't even change colors of the apple. But I didn't believe this until I tried it on my wife. And my wife, she could change the color. She could go green and red, but she didn't have the ability to manipulate that apple. She couldn't grab that apple. She couldn't throw that apple. I'm juggling this apple. I'm doing all sorts of things with it. But hers is just a stuck image. And I thought that was nuts.
For the world, people are being caught glitching out, you guys. Like, it's crazy. What is going on? This is literally how it started off. Just like that. This dude out of nowhere just hits these guys that were parked here and he starts glitching out, y'all. Check it out. Look at him. Just watch. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Oh my goodness. Look at that. This is how it ended, y'all. Yeah. This is how it ended, y'all. Yeah, you know.
Okay, in this video, we're going to discuss NPCs, non-player character type of mentalities. And what is an NPC? Someone who doesn't think critically, someone who lacks critical thinking ability, someone who isn't an objective thinker, who just goes along with whatever script they've been given as far as school indoctrination, television programming, and agendas. This is an NPC.
Here's what NPC behavior looks like. 1, repetitive comments. If you're saying the same thing over and over with no real contribution or insight to the discussion, that's NPC energy. 2, lack of understanding or engagement. If you keep asking questions that are already answered, or if you're not getting the message and aren't open to learning, that's a sign of being stuck in the matrix. 3, disrupting the flow. If you're trying to derail the conversation with nonsense or trying to distract others from the real conversation, that's another red flag. NPCs are programmed to distract. 4, negative energy. If you're constantly negative, trolling, or bringing a bad vibe, you're contributing to low frequency. We're all about high energy here. Negative energy isn't welcome. 5, stubbornness in beliefs. If you're refusing to see things outside your narrow scope, especially when the truth is being dropped, that's NPC behavior. It's not about having an open mind. 6, following without critical thought. If you're just regurgitating what others say without adding your own critical thought or perspective, you're being an NPC. We need people who are thinking for themselves. 7, not respecting the vibe. If you're not respecting the tone and energy of the chat, or you're coming in and just spewing hate, you're going to get blocked. We are about positivity and growth here. So for those of you who are here to learn, connect, and elevate, welcome. For those bringing NPC behavior, remember, I don't have time for that. This space is for real ones only. Keep it high frequency or keep it moving. Stay tapped in and
Okay, TikTok. So this one is about NPCs, otherwise known as non-playable characters. Despite the Laura's canon, have a listen to this one.
On the topic of NPCs, otherwise known as non-player characters, or as Dolores Cannon coined the term, background characters.
I'm going to go into the backdrop, people. This came up in my last book. I put it into Convoluted 4. I could go into a lot more strange concepts, and they may come up with the questioning. But in Convoluted 4, I've got this concept of the backdrop people. Okay. Well, the idea, nothing is real anyway. Everything is energy. Everything is illusion. You're creating, this is your movie. This is your play. You are the, it's all that life is anyway. It's just a game. It's just a play. It's just an illusion. You're going to leave here with your brains really spinning. Okay. But I've had people say that when they go through the death experience in the past life, they look back and they'll say, it's just a play. I see all the actors on stage getting ready to play their parts. I see the actors in the wings getting ready to come on stage and play their parts. It's just a play. But when I was there, I took it so seriously, but now it's like a blink of an eye. So you are the producer, director, and actor in your own play. You're also the script writer, but the script isn't written. It's written as you go along. You see, you can change it anytime you want. We get so trapped into thinking there's no way out. Not, that this is all there is. When you realize how powerful your mind is, you can create anything you want. This is the goal, the main thing of being alive is learning how to create. And now when the veil is thinning, we're moving into this new earth, we're into the shifting, we're bringing all these abilities back. This is what you're supposed to learn how to do. Okay, but this is your movie. Now they said, it wouldn't be a very good movie, would it, if you were the only person in the movie? Isn't that true? They said people like people around them. So what we do, we don't know this, none of this is done consciously. You have the backdrop people. When you cast a movie, what do? You cast all these extras, don't you? To fill in the background, the backdrop. They said it's holographic. It's like being on the holodeck on Star Trek. When you're on the holodeck, they interact with these people, they're real, but then the minute they walk off the holodeck, all these people dissipate. They're still not on the evolutionary path that we are on. They're different.
They're a completely different energy system. The energetic genre of mankind is a very high frequency, very high energy. And these guys they're lower,
denser energy.
Hello, my name is Dee, and I'm a shopkeeper in London.
Hello.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Is that for ginger people?
Is what for ginger people?
The gingerbread man.
Oh no, that's just called a gingerbread man. It's not specifically for ginger.
Is it made of bread?
No, it's not made of bread. No, it's just called gingerbread.
Is it for men?
It's not just for men. No, not just for ginger people. Not made from bread, and not just for men. It's just called a gingerbread.
Then why do they call it gingerbread man?
Oh, it's just a name. I don't know actually, but that's what it's called. It's not for ginger people only. And
that doesn't make sense. Why call it that?
I don't know actually.
Well, this is a shit shop.
Subjective experience for a zombie, but from the outside they look just like a normal human being. So my zombie twin might be behaving just like me, even saying all these things, but would have no consciousness on the inside.
Some people you interact with every day might not be real, not in the way you think. They look human, they speak, they react, they follow routines. But beneath the surface, something is missing. You've felt it before. That strange emptiness in their eyes, the robotic way they repeat mainstream narratives, the complete inability to question reality. It's as if they're running on a script, responding predictably, never showing true independent thought. Philosophers, neuroscientists, and researchers have explored this for centuries. The idea that not all human beings operate at the same level of consciousness. Some function purely on autopilot, following conditioned behaviors without introspection, self-awareness, or even an inner monologue. If that's true, then what does it say about the world we live in? More importantly, what does it say about you? The evidence is everywhere. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And by the end of this video, you might never look at people the same way again. Most people assume that consciousness is universal, that if someone is walking, talking, and responding to the world, they must be fully aware of themselves and their actions. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if, in reality, a large percentage of the population is operating on something closer to autopilot, reacting instead of thinking, repeating instead of questioning? This isn't just some internet meme about NPCs. It's an idea that has been explored for centuries by some of the greatest thinkers in history. Plato warned about this in his allegory of the cave. He described people trapped in a world of shadows, mistaking illusions for reality, unaware that a greater truth existed beyond their limited perception. They never even questioned what they saw. They simply reacted. Gurdjieff, a mystic and philosopher, took it further, claiming that most humans live in a state of waking sleep, carrying out their lives mechanically, controlled by impulses rather than conscious thought. In his words, man is a machine. Everything with him happens. Modern psychology confirms what these philosophers suspected all along. Most human behavior is unconscious. Studies show that up to 95% of daily decisions are made automatically, without deliberate thought. The brain relies on pre-programmed responses, shaped by past experiences, social conditioning, and external influences. You might think you're making a conscious choice, but in reality, your brain is following a pattern, one that was set long before you ever realized it. This is why some people never question their beliefs. They simply absorb what they're told, whether it's from the media, the government, or their peers. They don't analyze, they don't reflect, and they certainly don't challenge the system. They exist within it, playing their role exactly as they were conditioned to, just like an NPC in a video game. If people are simply reacting to the world around them, then what happens when the world itself is designed to keep them asleep? What if society is structured in a way that encourages NPC-like behavior, rewarding those who follow the script and punishing those who think for themselves? The deeper you go, the more disturbing the truth becomes. And it all leads to a question that has haunted philosophers and scientists for decades. What if some people aren't fully conscious at all? If someone looks human, speaks like a human, and reacts like a human, does that mean they truly experience life the way you do? Or is it possible that some people are simply running on biological scripts, mimicking emotions and responses without any true subjective awareness? This question isn't new. It has haunted philosophers for centuries. But in recent years, it has taken on a terrifying edge. David Chalmers, one of the most influential thinkers in modern philosophy, introduced the concept of philosophical zombies, or P-zombies, beings that behave exactly like conscious humans but have no inner experience. Imagine someone who laughs, cries, and speaks about their feelings, but inside, there's nothing. No self-awareness, no internal experience, just programmed reactions. Think about the implications of this. If P-zombies could theoretically exist, how would we know who has an actual inner world of thoughts and feelings and who is just playing the part? You can't prove someone else is conscious, you can only assume. This is what's known as the hard problem of consciousness, the disturbing realization that we have no way of measuring subjective experience. Someone could act as though they are thinking deeply, but inside, they could be empty, just a set of neurons firing in a predetermined way, responding to stimuli, but never truly experiencing anything. You've seen this before. Have you ever tried discussing a profound idea only to be met with blank stares or robotic, emotionless responses? Have you noticed how some people never reflect on their own lives, never question their reality, never exhibit true depth? They just exist, repeating what they've been told, moving through life in a loop. The deeper you look, the more unsettling it gets. It's not that they lack intelligence, it's that they lack something deeper. Now, if this was just a thought experiment, it would be disturbing enough. But here's the real nightmare. Science is starting to confirm that some people may actually lack self-awareness in ways we never imagined. Neuroscientists have studied split-brain patients, individuals whose brain hemispheres have been surgically separated. What they found was shocking. One side of the brain can act completely independently of the other, even forming separate thoughts and behaviors. This suggests that self-awareness isn't as unified as we once believed. If a person can have two conflicting minds inside one brain, then how fragile is the very idea of personal identity? And then there's the even darker revelation. Many people seem to lack inner dialogue altogether. Surveys have shown that a significant portion of the population doesn't have a constant stream of thoughts running through their head. They don't question themselves. They don't reflect on their actions. They simply respond to life, moment by moment, as if their thoughts were external impulses rather than internal reflections. The implications are staggering. If some people lack true introspection, if their thoughts are merely reactions rather than conscious decisions, then how many of them are just biological machines, existing without truly experiencing? If we are surrounded by people who function this way, what does that mean for society?
That was some crazy stuff right there, but how many people know somebody like that in their life or have known someone like that in their life? I know I do. Scary stuff, huh? Please let me know in the comments.
Screen. What? What are you doing, dude? Can you get away? What are you doing? Is there a problem? Two for one. Two for one? What the fuck are you talking about? Yo, can you get the fuck away?
Now y'all see why I said we need to start doing NPC checks, right? Look at this shit, y'all. They're just standing there like that, yo. Peep that. What are they looking at? Look at that shit. This is not normal, yo. Well, he looking at him too, like, what the heck? I need y'all to think about this. Look at everybody that lives in your neighborhood. You mean on your block or whatever. How many people do you actually see? Even just growing up in elementary, it was just a couple of people that you knew. Everybody else was just like blobs. Like, you mean? I'm telling y'all, reasons why certain people be standing out too, yo. Tell the real players. Like, y'all don't think that encounter was just like a little strange, y'all? Somewhat, just a little bit. Let's keep it a bean. What?
A lemonade, all right. And then can I also have barbecue sauce? Or do you have like a buffalo sauce? No Chick-fil-A sauce? No Chick-fil-A sauce. So you want a barbecue sauce? Yes. And then you want...
Government wants to control information and control language because that's the way you control thought. And basically that's the game they're in. Same with religion. Religion is nothing but mind control. Religion is just trying to control your mind, control your thoughts. So they're going to tell you some things you shouldn't say because they're sins. And besides telling you things you shouldn't say, religion's going to suggest to you some things you ought to be saying. Here's something you ought to say first thing when you wake up in the morning. Here's something you ought to say just before you go to sleep at night. Here's something we always say on the third Wednesday in April after the first full moon in spring at 4 o'clock when the bells ring. Religion is always suggesting things you ought to be saying. Same with political groups of all kinds. Political activists, anti-bias groups, special interest groups are going to suggest the correct political vocabulary, the way you ought to be saying things. And
we're going to throw some mind control videos in here because how easy is it to manipulate and program NPCs that can't think for themselves?
Mind control has affected some of you or some of your loved ones. Mind control is very prevalent in this country and around the world. These criminals that are in control of our country operate on the philosophy that secret knowledge equals power. They don't have wisdom. They don't think deep. And they never considered the strength of the human spirit. I know that I'm extremely fortunate to have survived my CIA, MK Ultra, White House, Pentagon level, trauma-based mind control victimization. I also speak out to give voice to the many mind control victims and survivors out there who can't think to speak out and tell what they know and what they've endured. These truths have been covered up and kept from all of us for a long time under a blanket of so-called national security. We have over 27,000 documents and evidences, government insider testimony, medical records. But this blanket of national security has stopped us from obtaining justice.
Check out this mind control in Congress. This lady back here is going to control what she's saying through mind control and telepathy. Check this out.
Page 55 from the committee's interview with FBI employees. Have some administrative matters first. I wanted to introduce into the record page 55 from the committee's interview with FBI employee Roya Demlow, who I wanted to introduce into the record page 55 from the committee's interview with page 55 from the committee's interview with which took place on July 17, 2023. In that which took place on July 17, 2023. In that, we're to leave this interview and we're to suggest or imply that when you said the laptop was real, that it meant that the FBI had affirmatively determined in October 2020 that the laptop belonged to Hunter Biden.
This video just shows you that the politicians are just NPCs and they're under mind control, and people talk to them using telepathy so they don't mess up or say something they shouldn't. It's a crazy world we live in. It's all a stage.
Well, if you filled up your gas tank lately, then you don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you gas prices are back on the rise.
But you don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you gas prices are on the rise.
All NPCs.
You're dealing with an addicted generation.
This is a big time bomb ticking.
This is no accident. Indeed, it is by design.
I mean, seriously?
It was my mistake.
I mean, I think we can all feel it.
To try to make these products as addictive as possible.
Spike in dopamine.
We now know that many of the major social media companies hire individuals called attention engineers who borrow principles from Las Vegas casino gambling, among other places, to try to make these products as addictive as possible. That is the desired use case of these products, is that you use it in an addictive fashion because that maximizes the profit that can be extracted from your attention and data.
It literally is a point now where I think we have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works.
That is truly where we are.
The way the technologist Jaron Lanier puts it is that these companies offer you shiny treats in exchange for minutes of your attention and bytes of your personal data, which can then be packaged up and sold.
What happened is that the attention economy and this race for attention got more and more competitive. And the more competitive it got to get people's attention on, say, a news website, the more they need to add these design principles, these more manipulative design tactics, as ways of holding on to your attention.
You don't realize it, but you are being programmed.
Social media tools are designed to be addictive.
They're also designed to dumb you down.
The actual desired use case of these tools is that you fragment your attention as much as possible throughout your waking hours. That's how these tools are designed to use. Well, we have a growing amount of research which tells us that if you spend large portions of your day in a state of fragmented attention, so large portions of your day where you're constantly breaking up your attention, take a quick glance, do a just check, and just quickly look at Instagram, that this can permanently reduce your capacity for concentration. I'm especially worried about this when we look at the younger generation coming up, which is the most saturated in this technology.
It's very addictive because if you pull on the slot machine arm enough, you will win. And you never know which pull will reward you.
NPCs exist in real life. Here's why. Every day, we're surrounded by people, but how many are truly aware? It's as if we're living among NPCs, non-playable characters inserted into our world. They go through the motions, their responses pre-programmed, lacking genuine awareness. Like in The Truman Show, where Truman's wife speaks in ads, these NPCs respond with scripted lines. You mention the skies being altered, and they reply, "It's just cloudy, the weatherman said so." These interactions drain your energy, leaving you empty.
Up to 50% of the population does not have an inner monologue. Please pause and reflect on that for a moment, if you are able to. Studies show that 25 to 50% do not have conversation in their head, ever. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to go through life without questioning anything, just following the flow, almost like they're on autopilot? Here's a wild thought. What if they're NPCs, non-playable characters in the game of reality? Think about it. An inner monologue, and that voice in your head that debates, reflects, and questions is what makes us truly self-aware. But not everyone has it. Science even confirms this. Some people just don't think in words, and instead of questioning the world around them, they just act. It's not their fault. NPCs aren't bad. They're just wired differently. They fill the background of life sticking to scripts, work, consume, repeat, while those of us with an inner monologue are the players, the ones shaping reality. And here's the craziest part. Most NPCs don't even realize they're NPCs. Ask someone if they hear their inner voice, and if they look confused, well, you've met one.
Part 1. The theory they don't want to put into words. What if many of the people around you aren't fully real? Not in the dreamlike simulation theory way, but in the physical, biological sense. They breathe, they eat, they tweet, but behind their eyes, there's no sovereign soul, no fire, no internal narrator, just code. This isn't paranoia. This is a growing theory with disturbing convergence between science, spiritual philosophy, and fringe conspiracies. That cloning is real, that consciousness transfer is being quietly mastered, and that the NPC epidemic, people with no inner worlds, is the side effect. These people aren't defective. They're by design. Part 2. What if NPCs are real, not meme mechanisms? The term NPC came from gaming, characters who exist only to react to players. No free will, no awareness. Just scripted lines and mechanical purpose. But on the streets, in classrooms, online, you've met these people. Blank stare, but a smile. Repeating the same phrases as headlines. No deep beliefs, no contradictions, no soul tension. Just existing. Now, here's where it breaks reality. There are people alive today who report having no inner monologue, no voice inside, no narrative, no reflection, no I behind the me, and they think that's normal. Part 3. Inner monologue versus inner void. Think about this. You talk to yourself in your head. You argue with yourself. You narrate your life. You know you exist because you're constantly witnessing your own thoughts. Now imagine waking up and there's nothing. You see, you act, you respond. but there's no internal self-examination. Science has confirmed this split. Some people have rich, verbal, detailed mental narration. Others have only abstract feelings or flashes of images. And a small subset has nothing at all. Now combine this with the NPC theory. What if people without inner monologues aren't wired differently? What if they were never truly plugged in to begin with? They operate, but do they experience? Part 4. Enter the clones. Now layer in the darkest theory. Clones exist. Not metaphorical, literal human clones, created by elite programs, housed in secret labs, engineered from harvested DNA, raised not to feel, but to obey. Some are vessels for uploaded minds. Others are simply placeholders, background characters in the theater of reality. But here's the glitch. A cloned body doesn't mean a real person. A perfect face doesn't mean a soul. A moving mouth doesn't mean an inner voice. So what do you get when a cloned being lacks consciousness upload? An NPC. A biological machine with no internal narrator, no divine spark, just scripts, reflexes, mimicry. They're born. They walk, they speak, but they don't reflect. They don't dream. They don't remember what it felt like to be 5, and maybe they were never supposed to. Part 5, why the elite would do this. Here's the darkest motive. You want power that lasts forever? Kill death. But to kill death, you need bodies, endless bodies. And to move the soul, you need tech plus ritual. The soul resists, but the code doesn't. So, the elite do 3 things. 1, clone bodies, blank canvases. 2, transfer consciousness, move the soul into a newer vessel. 3, dump the leftovers. Failed transfers, they don't waste, they deploy them into society. And what does a failed or empty vessel look like? A human with no internal compass. No monologue, no resistance, no rebellion, just enough humanity to blend in but never awaken. Part 6, you are the outlier. If you feel deeply, hear your own voice inside your mind, argue with yourself. Think about the future. Ask what's wrong with people lately. Congratulations. You're not broken. You're the glitch in their system. A sovereign soul, a player in a game full of programmed pieces, and the rise in soullessness around you, that's the system trying to normalize the takeover. Part 7, the end game, a world of shells. Now imagine this, a future where most humans are cloned, where elite consciousness is recycled through young flesh, where true souls are a rare hunted breed, and where society is full of clone politicians, hosted celebrities, background NPCs with no internal monologue, and AI-generated personalities mimicking real thought. The war isn't bombs. It's not even ideology. It's a war for reality itself. A war between voices and echoes, souls and shells, players and programs.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I thoroughly enjoyed today's videos. It really makes you think, unless you're an NPC. But otherwise, it really makes you think. I mean, how many people are walking around like this that you run into every day at the supermarket or at the gym or your kids' parents or whatever? Or it's amazing how many people are running around just clueless, thoughtless. It's crazy, but I hope you enjoyed them. Please hit that like button, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.